Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to build this toolbox using SolidWorks sheet metal. So the first thing that I did in this exercise is create a base flange. Okay, so instead of drawing a line, what I ended up doing was sketching a 2x4 rectangle right on the top plane, and I kept it centered. The next thing I did was I added what SolidWorks calls a tab. When you use this base flange tab feature, the very first feature you create in a sheet metal part is going to be your base flange. But what I ended up doing here was I ended up sketching an additional section on the end of the rectangle. And this is going to be the left and right sides of the toolbox. So my dimensions are 1x2 long with a 20-degree angle, fully defined, and then added as a tab, and then it merges itself into the initial base flange base flange feature. Then I mirrored it to the opposite side. So now I have what is going to be the bottom of the toolbox. I added another tab to the left of the toolbox and then mirrored it to the right hand side, or left, right versa, vice versa. So now my toolbox looks like this, almost like it's been flattened. So my intent for this toolbox, at least modeling it this way, was to use the base flange tab features. Now I'm going to cut the holes out on the left and right side of the part, or these would be punched out. These would not be drilled or machined out. Then I'm going to create what SolidWorks calls a sketch bend. So when I use my rollback bar, you can see what it looks like bent and unbent. So how to do that is very simple. All I have to do is sketch a line on this surface. So I can show you that. I'm going to create a new sketch. And I'm going to draw a line from this intersection to this intersection. And what that is pretty much a bend line. I'm telling SolidWorks I want to take this part and bend it up at 90 degrees using this as a hinge, like a hinge point. So that's all I needed to do to create a sketched bend, was draw a single line wherever you want the bend to be. And then from the features toolbar, from your sheet metal toolbar, click the sketched bend button. My bend parameters, it's looking for a fixed face. So you definitely want to click to the right of the line that you drew, not to the left. This is what I want to remain stationary. And you'll see that SolidWorks is bending that part up at 90 degrees. And I can edit that. It doesn't have to be at 90, so if I wanted it to be at 45 degrees, I could do that as well. But typically, your sheet metal bends will be at 90 degrees. So that's how you would do that. So after I created the sketched bends, I did the sketched bends for the left and right as well by drawing a line across the intersections. So now my toolbox is starting to take shape. Then I added edge flanges. So by doing this, and let me suppress that so you can see it again, I'm adding edge flanges to these inner linear edges because I want there to be some support with my toolbox. I could put a handle on it now, but these sides aren't very strong. So by folding them in, I have a place for someone to weld along the bottom, maybe along the sides, to make it a little bit stronger. And then I'm going to add those edge flanges along the inside as well. Those edge flanges bend in at about an inch. Then I add a separate edge flange along the top. Now how I did this was by editing the initial sketch. So let me back up a second. Let's look at that. So you notice it's not bending the entire edge over. It's a lot more narrow. So how you can do that is like this. By adding a standard edge flange, choosing this and sending it outward is going to capture the entire length. But that's not what I want. So by editing my sketch, by adding the feature, going back and editing my sketch, I can drag these points. They become underdefined, and I can add my dimensions to make a custom edge flange, and it automatically adds the reliefs for me. So all I have to do is edit that sketch, reposition the endpoints of the line, add my dimensions, and move forward. So let's delete that. Okay. So that's how that edge flange was created. And I made it a little bit longer than the outside faces of the toolbox because I want to bend yet another flange downward so that it goes over it. You can see as I zoom in, it folds over the sides with a nice gap and the radius doesn't interfere. And then what I did to make it look pretty and add a little bit more strength in that area was add a hem, because maybe I want to add a latch here. You know, maybe there's a latch that gets spot welded on here and it latches over and closes the toolbox or keeps it shut. Or maybe I want to add you know, a key ring to this or something. I mean, a loop belt, or who knows why those holes are there. Okay, and then my flat pattern, let's take a look at what the flat pattern looks like. Should be the entire toolbox all in one shot. So this shape would be stamped out of a machine, out of a press, that would have the tooling necessary to punch out the holes, the grooves, the reliefs, and everything. And then when I hit fold or suppress to fold everything, I have one completed toolbox all done with one flat pattern, and it can be welded, sandblasted, painted, and I'm done.